It is given that the frequency of a radar is 780 megahertz. The frequency of a reflected wave from an aeroplane is increased by 2.6 kilowatt. The velocity of aeroplane is. So here we can say that this radar is emitting some radiations. So this is going to behave like the source, and an aeroplane is moving towards it. So that aeroplane, that we can just consider it as nothing but an observer. Initially this aeroplane is going to behave like an observer. So actually this radar radiations are getting reflected from the aeroplane. So first we can identify what about the frequency which is received by the aeroplane. So frequency received by the aeroplane is nothing but the frequency which is reflected by that, and we can assume that this aeroplane is moving towards the radar with a velocity v. That's why there is an increase in frequency, otherwise the frequency will decrease. So first we can find out what about the frequency which is received by the aeroplane, and here it is the case of propagation of light wave. So we'll always consider that the observer is at rest and the source is moving. So we can use that equation. It is n naught into, we'll assume that observer is at rest and the source is moving with the velocity v. So we can write as it is c minus v. Now in the next case we can assume that this radar is going to behave like an observer, and this aeroplane is reflecting this radar radiations. That is going to behave like a source which is moving with the velocity, let's say v. So we can just consider that the frequency which is received by the stationary observer is equal to frequency which is reflected by aeroplane. So frequency which is reflected by aeroplane is the frequency which is observed by it, which is nothing but n1. So n1 into c divided by v minus c. So we can find out what about the value of this n2, n0 of in terms of actual frequency. n1 we know that it is n0 into c divided by c minus v into c divided by c minus v. So this is going to be n0 into c divided by c minus v the whole square, and as the value of c is much greater than that of velocity, we can go for a binomial calculation, that is 1 divided by 1 minus v divided by c the whole square, which can be written as nothing but n0 into 1 minus v divided by c raised to minus 2, which can be written as nothing but n0 into 1 plus 2v divided by c. So we can find out what about the value of this change in frequency. Change in frequency is n0 into 1 plus 2v divided by c minus n0, which can be written as nothing but 2v into n0 divided by c. So we'll get the value of change in frequency, and Rm is to find out the value of this v. So v can delta n into c divided by 2n0. Now we can substitute these values. So after calculation you will get as it is 0.5 kilometer per second.